Hey everyone, it's James at Luxedge Furniture Company. This week on In the Shop, I'm going to teach you how to take a raw piece of wood and turn it into a gorgeous charcuterie board in 6 easy steps using a router, a jigsaw, an orbital sander, and a flush trim router bit. Step 1, you want to pick your piece of wood. So make sure it's something that looks nice, that's got character. I used a piece of sugar maple. And now we're going to cut out the template. Step 2, cutting out the template. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can buy templates online. They're made out of acrylic. I made my own. I have a CNC machine. So there's a whole bunch of different ways, but the easiest way to get all of your boards consistent with the headstock, so that means make sure that all of them are exactly the same, is you need a template. So what you do is you take your piece of wood, you put it on top of the board that you want to cut, and then you take your pencil and you're going to trace around the whole headstock. So just remember, when you're tracing around your headstock, you want to leave a little bit of meat. So I like to put my pencil flush to the side of where I'm tracing. You want to trace all the way around. You want to trace the inside. Oh, make sure it doesn't move. So you want to trace the inside. You want to go over it a couple times just to make sure you can really see it. So that's what it looks like. All you have to trace is your headstock. Don't worry about anything else. All right, so now for step 3, you're going to take a jigsaw. I've got a Festool here. Everything I use in my shop is Festool. I just really trust the brand. I think it's a great product. You don't have to spend $600-700 on a jigsaw. Absolutely, you don't have to. I've got a DeWalt jigsaw here. I think this was about $150 from Home Depot. You can use this. Just make sure you're using a really sharp blade. And the key to cutting out the line with the jigsaw is you want to go really slow. So as long as you're cutting outside of the line that you traced, the next step's going to be very simple. So let's get this cut out. So just before I get cutting, a couple big reasons why I like using this Festool jigsaw. It's got dust collection, which is amazing. You've got your speeds here, so you can even put it on automatic. So if it meets resistance, it's going to slow it down a bit so it doesn't burn out the motor. And it's got the trigger on here with a light. So as soon as you turn it on, you can see where you're cutting on your workpiece. I love that. So now let's get to cutting this out. So again, it doesn't have to be a perfect cutout. That's what this bit is going to be used for, and I'll show you that in the next step. So what you want to do is just make sure you cut just outside the line. It doesn't have to be perfect again. Right, so now that this is all cut out, now we're going to cut out the little center here. So I'll show you a trick for doing that. So what I've done is I've grabbed a spade bit here, and it's a little bit wider than my jigsaw blade. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill one here and one here. So again, you want to stay inside the line, and you're going to grab your jigsaw, and you're going to cut this out. So now we're on to step 4, using our flush trim router bit to finish off the cutout for the handle. So you want to grab 2-sided tape. You want to put it all on the top here as much as you can. You want to take your template and put it on top, and then you'll see why next. So this stuff is pretty sticky, so you don't need a ton of it, but you want to do a big piece there, do a big piece here. Make sure you don't destroy your cutting board here, cutting with your knife. All right, so make sure that's down really, really firmly, and then you want to peel back. I'm gonna grab this side here and peel back. And you want to make sure that this board you're putting on is cleaned on the back. And then you want to put this on the line that you traced. It doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see here, I've got a little bit of overhang. So 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. So as long as the template isn't overhanging any of your wood, you are good to go. All right, so here's a very important step. So again, this is step 4. This is your flush trim router bit. You want to make sure that you've got it set, the bearing here on the top, so that it's in perfect contact with your template. So if it's too high, you're going to cut through your workpiece and wreck it. If it's too low, it's not going to trim anything. So this bearing runs along the profile of this. And the bottom here, the straight cut, it cuts out all of this nasty stuff. So let's cut it out and see what it looks like. As long as you have a template, a flush trim router bit allows you to clean up anything. There's some incredible templates that you can find on Etsy. You can find them on Google. You can find them on Amazon. So you basically just pick whatever template you want, whatever shape you want, and you cut out the rough size. And as you can see in the video, this flush trim router bit just does such a fantastic job for cleaning everything up. All right, so this is all done now. So what we're going to do, pull off the template. As you can see, this is perfect to the template now. Completely symmetrical. You do that every time, and every single charcuterie board you make will be absolutely perfect. All right, so now this step 4 is all finished, and we've used our flush trim router bit, and we've cleaned up the contour from our template. I'm going to use a router. So this is a small handheld router. I've got a 1/4 inch round over here, and we're going to round over the top and the bottom and inside the little hole here. In my opinion, this is the most important step. It just makes a nice rounded edge for you to hold, so you're not cutting your fingers and it looks nice. So let's do the trimming now. All right, so now that that is all trimmed and cleaned up, you can see the edge is nice and rounded over. So the final step, step number 6, is to sand it and finish it. So I'm going to show you a really cool tool to get bark off. So this fancy tool, it's called a draw knife. It's got 2 handles on it. There's a big blade here. Nice chamfered edge. What I'm going to do is I take it and literally just draw off the bark. So this makes it really easy to get the live edge off of your wood. And then what I'm going to do is take my sander, clean out the edge, and then we're going to finish it. All right, everyone, we're on the final step. So this is a 6-inch orbital sander from Festool. Again, you don't have to use this. I use this because it's got great dust collection, it's got speed control, and it's got automatic, so it slows down if it's under a whole bunch of resistance so that you don't burn out your motor. A huge tip for everybody is go out and buy this. It's called Abernet pads. It's a mesh pad. It allows for maximum dust collection. I like the Festool ones with the holes in it, but these ones just give such a better sand. It removes a lot of dust, almost all the dust when you're sanding. And you know, for about 50 cents a pad, you have a whole box here. I start at 100 and I go all the way up to 180, and then I'll put on the finish. So let's get sanding. So another really important tip is you want to get, so once the bark is off, there's this skin on it called the cambium layer. And that is the layer that holds the sapwood to the bark. So you want to get all that off, because if you don't get all that off and you finish it, which I've seen some people do, it breaks and flakes off down the road and looks horrible. So you want to sand your edge and you want to clean up all the cambium. So you can leave a little bit of texture, like you can see here, it's all gone, but I've sanded it down nice and smooth. And if it was the cambium, it actually just, it pulls off in like shreds, almost like cheese string, right? So you want to make sure the edges are nice, cleaned, and sanded. All right. All right. So once the top is all sanded and I got the live edge done, I take a pad, it's 150, and you're gonna sand and clean up the rounded edge. And you're sand on the inside. Now this is tedious, takes about half an hour or so. But what you want to do is just go back and forth all over the round over, make sure everything's clean. The other important thing is, if you're taking your sandpaper and you're going back and forth across the grain, once you've done sanding all of the imperfections out, you want to come back over and go with the grain a couple passes to get rid of those cross scratch marks. So here's an example. So I'm sanding back and forth across the grain. It's hard to see in the video, but there's scratches here. What I want to do is come back here, give it a nice light sand back and forth. And now this section here is all clean and it's all sanded. So I want to do that across the whole thing. Once that's all done, we'll put some oil on it and see what it looks like. All right, so now that we're done sanding, I've run it over all the edges. I've cleaned up the live edge, sanded in and out of everywhere, so it's all 150, all sides and all the edges. So all you want to do is just wipe your piece down, get rid of all the dust, and then we're going to apply the finish, see what it looks like. All right, so we're going to put the finish on. If you guys don't have any of these that you've made, make some. They're triangles. You just take a piece of 2x4, you rip it on a 45-degree angle in your table saw, and you put them on your workbench. Throw on paper towels. And it's a nice clean surface. So once you're done oiling everything, you can pull the paper towels off and put your board there to dry overnight, and then you have no issues. So this is Osmo that we're using. It is Osmo 3111. It's a white finish. So whitewash looks really good with maple. That's where we're going with this. So all I do is just put as much on as I want. Obviously I put way too much on, but okay, that's what the paper towel is for. What you want to do is wipe it into everything back and forth. I want to do the edges. I want to get it absolutely everywhere. And this will only be one coat that I'm doing, because I'm going to come back after with the Osmo oil, and that's going to be our finish surface. So this is, you can actually buy this product whitewashed with the final finish. I just don't have any. So I'm doing one extra step, but, or you can do Rubio. Rubio Monocoat has a white too. It's a super white and it looks really nice. So it doesn't matter what finish you use. They're kind of all the same. They all work well. So charcuterie boards, they also get beat up a lot. So you can refinish them every couple of years. Don't ever put these in the dishwasher. You want to wreck something real quick, that's the quickest way of doing it. So you want to hand wash these and dry them. All right, let's flip it over. I'm going to soak up some of my finish. So the whole reason I got these Scott's towels down is to soak up any of the finish, so that when I take the paper towels off, I don't have my triangles covered in oil, which will then stain the bottom of this surface and it won't look very good. You want to wipe it everywhere, get it all over. And this stuff soaks in pretty good, so you kind of want to keep wiping it around, keep wiping in all the cracks, all the surfaces. I'll wipe this in for the next 5 minutes or so. And then once that's all done, then I'm just going to, most importantly, you want to wipe this off completely dry. All right, so double check this other side again. All right, so that's pretty good. So I'm gonna wipe the whole thing down now, completely clean, completely dry to the touch, and then leave it overnight. You just want to flip it over a couple times, just make sure you get all the spots and stuff. These look, maple in general looks really good right now when it's whitewashed. Okay, so now that that's all done, I'm going to take a clean paper towel. So I'll do another couple videos later on about different finishes and what they're used for and how to apply them. But this is pretty straightforward. It's just like paint. You wipe it on, wipe it off. So again, once this is all done, this is a demo video. It may be long and boring for most of you that know how to apply this finish, but this is for the people that don't, and I'm educating everybody on how to do a finish. All right, so now that that's done, I'm going to pull these off because there's no more oil on it. I'm going to do a final clean with a clean rag. And to make sure that you don't put any fingerprints, always twist it, and using paper towels, always hold on to it. Make sure that you're not rubbing it around or moving it around on top of these blocks because it'll scratch it. So just be nice and careful when you're doing this. So that's it. So we'll come back tomorrow. We'll put the final gloss coat on, which will look really good when it's finished. And you guys let me know what you think in the comments section. All right, guys, so here's your finished product. This is ambrosia maple with a whitewash on it. We sell these for anywhere between $250 and $300. This is almost 24 inches long. It's pretty big. So thanks for watching, everybody. We hope you enjoyed In the Shop with Luxedge Furniture. We showed you from start to finish how to do a charcuterie board. This is entry-level woodworking, just gives a lot of you some perspective on how to actually make them if you want to turn this into a business. There's a lot of people selling them. So if you have any questions, any comments, I'd love to hear the feedback. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate the support.